So hi and welcome everybody. This is Altera and Joe, and we are from Griffin's Claw, the School of Practical Magic. And this is one of my favorite topics because I spend an awful lot of time outside in my gardens. Altera Thomas Wright. So she's a forest witch. She lives in the forest of Idaho. Um, and I know our seasons differ. We're from like all over the world actually today. Um, so some of the plants that she'll be talking about may not be in season right now for you, or they may, or they may be applicable. So, but anyway, I'm sure you're going to walk away with just so much stuff from just this half-hour interview. Altera, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that we get to talk a little bit about wildcrafting and foraging today too,
Yes,
because
go for
that
it. Ah.
that is my thing. And for me, wildcrafting and foraging is literally gathering nature's gifts during the different stages of a plant's growth, whether it's the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, the berries, the all of that. And each one is harvested at different seasons,
Mhm,
different stages of its growth. And then you're incorporating it into your life. You are using what you've gathered, whether for food,
mhm,
herbal medicines, crafting, or for your practice. And it's essentially literally harvesting from the wild, from the mountains, from the forests, the streams, the meadows, and the hillsides. And it's using what the abundance of nature. So I that's my passion, and I
mhm.
try to incorporate as much of that into my personal craft as well as in my kitchen. So,
And I tell
um,
you, I must interrupt you for a second there because you always astound me with all the things that you make from what you find. And my biggest fear is every time I see a mushroom growing out there, I think of you. And I think, how does she know? How do you know if this is a good mushroom or if it's a bad mushroom? I mean, is it just years of experience and learning? Or, I mean, is,
it is. And also, with mushrooms especially, you had better know your thing because they can be deadly. It only takes one bite and you're done.
mm,
All wild mushrooms have a toxin that you have to cook them, and that will remove them. If it's an edible mushroom,
mm,
like a boletus, which are coming up right now in our area because we got some moisture.
mhm,
So uh, great identification is highly important,
mhm,
even when you're gathering wild plants and fruits, from the wild. You want to know proper identification is very important. And a good way to learn how to do that would be books. Books are invaluable resources,
mhm.
and make sure that they have
Mm.
color photos
Yes.
because they also give a description of where perhaps you might find it growing, what its uses are, if it's toxic, if it's not.
Right.
And that applies to mushrooms as well. So, and yes, years of practicing and walking this green path
Mhm.
has taught me many things. So
So
find a mentor also.
you would recommend books over Google.
Yes. And the reason for that is not necessarily that picture is going to be the same as what you have found. It might look similar, but it may not be exactly the same.
Right.
And like for mushrooms, for example,
Mhm.
if all you're seeing is the top part of a mushroom,
Yeah.
what's it look like underneath? Is it spongy? Does it have gills? I mean, what's the stipe look like? There's a lot involved. So um I don't I don't rely on plant apps, honestly. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk to a mentor or look at a book or
Yeah.
join a group to
And
learn.
you actually are
So
a mentor. You have an apprentice right now that's working with you, correct?
I do, but I also over the years have done many weed forest walks with people
Mhm.
and showed them, how to apply like the yarrow that's growing out or the fireweed or season it
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
even in the dead of winter, even here when the snow is, 4 or 5 feet deep, there's still something to gather. It's
Yeah,
just whether you
yeah,
know what to gather or not.
yeah.
So
So we're in fall
anyway,
right now. What season in your part of the country in the U.S. What are you gathering at this point in the fall in this season?
well, right now, I've been working with rose hips, and we're going to cover that in my class. And I
Mhm.
also today have a rose hip recipe to share with everybody that
Oh,
is an absolute favorite in our house. Cold
okay.
and flu season is around the corner in my neck of the woods, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's always really beneficial to have a little, something on the side for
yeah.
being prepared for that. So I thought I'd share that today too.
Awesome.
There's wild mushrooms, there's the bolitas that we're harvesting.
Okay.
Um, let's see,
I'm sorry, you're
elderberry.
saying Bolitas, Bolites?
Yes, Boletus.
Bolitas.
Boletus. Yes. And there's corals, there's chanterelles.
Okay.
There's a few items out there that's still able to be gathered.
Yeah.
Hawthorn, I've dealt with that too. We'll be discussing that in my class
Oh,
as well.
good. We have Hawthorne. I'm very excited about
Yes,
that.
I love that sacred tree. She's a beauty. Um, and she represents Beltane, summertime.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, rituals. We just wanted to, you mentioned rituals, and I know the class that you're teaching, which is not this, but next week, the 21st, I believe. So, rituals is a big part of your life and your relationship with the plants. Can you talk a little bit about the kinds of rituals that you do? And
I
is it
usually do.
and is it different with each plant?
It depends, yes, because each plant has its own representation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I also in the class I'll be sharing how to do a candle dressing using elderberries. Um, I'm drinking elderberry tea today for confidence in this class.
I love
So,
that.
so yes, plants have they represent different things in the spiritual realm, or at least for myself,
Hmm.
and I like to apply them, whether it's for healing or in personal rituals. Now, being a solitary witch, I also some of my rituals are quite simple because it's just me,
Yeah.
and it has meaning for me. Um, but anyway, rituals reinforce, well, the plants help reinforce in the ritual the steps that you take to
Hmm.
help with your intention, to set your intention. And I really feel that it helps with the manifesting of your intentions. So
With that particular tea, right? With that.
well, right, yeah, for today, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
There you go.
today, yes. Exactly. So for me, rituals are about my connection also with the land. And so by incorporating plants in ritual, it helps make me feel the connection because
Hmm.
everything is connected.
Hmm.
So for me, it's just they just help reinforce.
So
And I'll share.
can you give us an example of a ritual?
Well, today I have a ritual that I wanted to share with everybody that's really simple, that
Okay.
if you don't mind,
Yes, absolutely. We're ready.
we have a solar eclipse and a new moon on Saturday,
Yep.
and the energy is it feels like it's a powerful energy to make wishes.
Mm,
And the collective energy feels a little bit strained, and I want to help feed into it positive thoughts.
hmm.
So I thought with the wild maple tree, she's shedding her leaves right now,
Hmm.
and they inspired this little ritual that I'm going to do.
Hmm.
And anyway, the I wrote on the leaves wisdom, and we're that's one wish. Now, normally people make wishes for themselves, but I feel like the wishes need to be for all, for the collective this time, especially with this energy. And I
Yeah.
feel like it could
Mm,
be a little bit more powerful. And
yeah.
so the first wish is wisdom. And then the second wish is hope, because I have hope.
Yeah.
And then I have the third wish will be for peace. And I used a red pen because red is also protective, but I used her maple leaves to write my intentions on. And I used maple instead of bay. I mean, everybody uses
Sorry,
bay,
you're
but
breaking up a little bit. Can you
I'm
repeat that,
using
please?
what's in my environment. So I wrote my witness, but I feel more connection to my land and to what's around me. So I'm using the maple leaves.
Mhm.
She represents love, strength, balance, and she's also protective. And so I feel like those kind of energies are what the collective needs. And so on Saturday night, I will burn them in the fire pit and put my wishes out into the wind. So
So in
that's
the
a really,
meantime, do you just have the leaves out?
I will have them out
Okay.
100%. I'll
Okay.
have them out because in my kitchen actually, because that's where I spend a lot of my
Yeah,
time is in the kitchen.
you do.
So the energy and the love and all of that that I'm infusing it with is going to go out into the wind, and that will be my ritual. And it's a really simple one, and it's using materials that I gathered off of my own land.
Yeah, 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 which
So
makes it even stronger. That is just,
exactly.
it feels so deep. I guess would be a good word,
Very much
to
so.
be very, very strong too.
Very much so. At least it did for me because
Yeah.
the maple leaf is transforming. Can't we transform the energy
Yeah.
around us as
Yeah,
well? So
yeah, yeah.
there we
So
go.
I was just want to do a little bit segue, just to wow people that are listening to this a little bit more. So I know you live in the forest.
Mhm.
You kind of live off the grid, you know. And I asked you at one point, you know, I think I was silly, and I'm like, okay, so you like, do you like make everything? You're like, no, we have electricity, you know, so
Yeah, we have electricity, but I do cook on a wood cook stove, which I just got to use yesterday for to start the season out, which is
yeah,
so exciting.
yes,
I always love it when I get to fire her up again.
yeah,
You can't, when it gets cooler, there's pros and cons to winter in my area, and
yeah, yeah,
pro is a little cook stove, so
yeah, but I think that's, it's just, again, it's cozy, it's the season. So
there.
I know, for those that don't know, I live in Florida, so we were just talking about the temperatures before we got on. And so our Altera's in the high 30s where she is right now. And I am in the high 80s right now. So while she's out there, you know, gathering everything up for the winter, I'm gathering grapefruits, you know, because we have them available right now. My other fruit trees haven't brought forth any fruit, but I normally would be doing like bananas and plantains around this time, or tangelos, oranges, and things like that. But ours is a brand new property with not much there. No figs this year either. No grapes. You know, none of that. And my vegetable garden's not in. So I think it all depends on where you live. You know, but
Correct.
it's like Altera's working with her maple leaves. So I would probably, what do I have left? I don't have too many of those trees. I have pine trees. I don't have any evergreens. I have a lot of palm trees on my property, and I think I might have one oak with very small leaves, but I might use that because I think that inspired what you just talked about with your maple leaf inspired me. So I would probably do the same thing with perhaps my oak leaf. So whatever kind of I think natural growth is around you. You know, it doesn't have to be maple, like Altera said. It could be whatever, you know, is around
Hmm.
you. And then, you know, I think this weekend is actually a very appropriate time to be doing things like that. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no,
You said
it's
you had a
fine.
recipe for us. Tell
I,
me about.
I, well, I will in just a minute, but I completely appreciate what you were talking about. Every region has its own, um, every region has its own things to gather at different times, and
Yeah,
that's part of the beauty of knowing your land
yeah,
is everything has a season.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna gather leaves in the spring, you're gonna gather the fruits in the summer, roots are right now, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. But yes, I don't know about poplar, but if it feels important to you and
Uh-huh.
has meaning, poplar is a healer, you know, in the cottonwood family.
Mm.
That would be healing magic.
Oh, that
Why
would be
not use
great,
poplar?
wouldn't it? Poplar, if poplar is healing, that would be something. I should plant a poplar tree around here. Yeah, that would
Well,
be amazing.
you gather the buds and the
Yeah,
small branches that have fallen down. You gather those before they make leaves.
yeah,
So it's a healer. I use it for making pain creams. So
right, right.
it's an important plant. So yes, please, if that feel as a calling to you, please use that.
I wanted
But
to
I do
ask
have
you.
a recipe. It's
Mhm, go ahead.
I can't I you just cut it out on
I know we've been
me.
cutting out our signals not fluid, so apologies to everybody, but you know, we still have some time left, so no problem. I did want to ask you just a quick segue over to your apothecary. Um, and the apothecary, what do you have in it? Because I know you make your healing salves and balms and tinctures and soaps and I mean you make pretty much all that, you know, that
Everything.
yeah,
Yes,
all
I do.
medicinal things for yourself. So I mean, can you talk a little bit just about your apothecary? Then we'll get to the recipe, we promise.
No, 100%, 100%. Okay, so in my apothecary, it's going to be items, and an apothecary is a place where you store your herbal materials.
Mhm,
It is your herbal medicine cabinet.
mhm,
Let's just say what it is. And everybody's is going to look differently. You're going to all gather or whatever it is that you need. You want to when you think about it, and gosh, that's such a great question. Oh my goodness. It's going to be personal because you're going to be looking at what type of remedies do you need or does your family need? And that'll determine what plants that you know best and what you're going to
mhm,
store in there.
mhm,
So in my apothecary hutch can only hold my dried plant materials.
mhm,
I don't have enough room in it. The hutch is special to me, so I use it for that.
mhm,
Tinctures and oils are in kitchen cupboards where it's cool and dark.
mhm,
But in my apothecary has everything. It has elderberries, it has rose hips, rose
mhm.
petals, yarrow leaf for helping staunch bleeding. I mean, it's everything that I can either grow or forage is in there.
Mhm,
So
mhm. So,
that's what's in
if
there.
someone was to say, "How do I start my apothecary?" What would you answer?
Okay, so that also is another personal question. It goes
Right.
back to what are the things that you need? What health issues are you trying to address in a safe manner, of course? And those are the things that you're going to add to it. I recommend, now this is just for myself, but lemon balm. And I'm just going to throw her out there. She is a magnificent healer, a powerhouse.
Lemon
She's
balm?
Lemon Balm, Melissa Officialis. Yes, she is. I named my daughter Melissa after Lemon
Oh,
Balm.
did you?
But
Of course you did.
of course I did. But anyway, she is an antibacterial. She's antiviral. She
Hmm.
is wonderful for helping lift the spirit and great for as a gentle healer to help with anxiety, such as my tea has elderberry and lemon balm in it today to
Yeah,
help with anxiety. So multitask herbs I find are really important. They're vital because I can make not just with that lemon balm, I can
yeah,
make herb infused oils. I can using her plant material fresh, I can
yeah.
make tinctures. So multi-purpose are wonderful. Um,
Someone just said they have a huge Melissa and it's the first time I've grown it. I was not sure how to use it.
okay, so dehydrate it, strip off all of the any yellow leaves. Um, And I hang mine to dry on an old clothes drying rack.
Yeah.
But you can dry in a dehydrator. I like paper sacks for flowers, like petals from roses and whatnot.
Mhm.
But fresh plant material is best for tincturing. I feel that the water soluble, I just feel that fresh material is best to make for tinctures, so
Mhm.
you can make tinctures out of it. Dried Melissa can be used to make herb oils,
Oh,
and you want it to be dry. I use it all the time. It's antibacterial and antiviral, so it's great for wound healing
mhm.
too. Or lip balm.
Lip
I mean,
balm.
we could go hours on that, but anyway,
Yeah. Well, we'll
that's
have
a
to do
few
more classes
ideas.
than one because we have one of your fabulous classes, which I can't wait. But yeah, we'll have more classes for everybody. Um, could you go ahead because I know we're running short on time. Could you go ahead and share your recipe with us?
I'd love to. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we're going to be covering rose hips in the class, but I felt drawn to go ahead and share the recipe with you guys today. And it's a rose hip syrup, and
Ooh.
you're going to use half a cup of dehydrated rose hips
I'll send you all a link
and
so you can listen
one
to this again in case you want to write it down. So you'll get a link. Go ahead.
so so okay, half a cup of dried rose hips,
Okay.
1 tablespoon of hibiscus flower, of dried hibiscus flower,
The actual flower or the
2
leaf?
cups of water,
I'm sorry.
the flower.
The
Yeah,
flower.
the
Okay.
flower. So hibiscus flower, 2 cups of water, 1 cinnamon stick, and 1 cup of honey. And you're going to set the honey aside. And then anyway, you're going to let your ingredients simmer gently on the stove for about 20 minutes or so. Don't let it boil over. Oh, holy Hannah, I've done that and it stinks up the whole. So pay attention. Don't get squirreled and distracted. Stay with it.
Okay.
So when after the 20 minutes, strain it through a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth if that's all you've got. And then while the liquid is still warm, now is when you want to add your honey. And I say that
Mm,
not to cook it in with it while it's simmering, because otherwise you're going to lose the important enzymes and nutrients that's in the honey. So set it aside. Now make sure to stir it in really well. You want to incorporate it well. Otherwise the honey will kind of settle at the bottom. And now it's time to bottle it in a sterile glass jar or a bottle,
okay.
and then make sure to label and date.
And
It's gonna,
how long is it good for?
I was just gonna say it's good for about 2 to 3 months, but I promise you it's not gonna last that long because you're gonna use it way before the 2 or 3 months is up.
So
And
there's a
I use it in
question
tea.
here. Melody's asking, any rose hips, are they all safe to use?
No, not all are safe. If they've been sprayed with any chemicals
Yeah,
whatsoever,
yeah,
you found them out next to the freeway, please don't use those.
got it.
But if you've wildcrafted or you purchased them from a good safe place, then they're perfectly fine.
And I have the same question on the hibiscus because I have two different types of hibiscus flowers that are growing here. Does it have to be a specific type of hibiscus flower or any one?
It's whatever Mountain Rose Herb sent me when I ordered a
Oh,
pound
okay.
of or hibiscus
Mhm.
flowers. So
So mine are not sprayed, then they probably would be safe
they
to
probably
use.
be safe. Yes.
Okay. And then another
Yes.
question I had was if you do not have rose hips available, what can you substitute in this particular recipe for rose hips?
I have no suggestion because you can purchase rose hips as well. You don't have
Oh,
to forage.
okay.
Yeah. Foraging is just for me, it's available, it connects me to the land, and I'm going to love and appreciate the abundance that's around me. You
Okay.
don't you don't have to forage. You can buy it as well. I can't grow everything or
Yeah.
forage it. So
Let me ask
cash
you a
and
question.
power.
What is the difference between wildcrafting and foraging?
It's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the company that you said you got your rose hips from was what was that?
Oh, I get my hibiscus flower from Mountain Rose Herbs.
Mountain Rose Herbs. Okay. Okay. Is that a
And
Florida-based company?
no, she is from the Northwest.
Okay. Oh, right. Somebody. Oh, okay. I get you. Mindy said we have rose hips wild everywhere. That is so cool. Mindy's out in Alaska. She's also in the middle of nowhere.
Well,
Up there needs some snow, I'm sure.
we were able to gather 11 pounds of rose hips so far.
Whoa. Whoa.
So well in the class I'll describe a few of the things that we do with them, but
Okay.
for me,
Awesome.
rose hips are a valuable ally in my apothecary.
Wow, wow, that is so cool. So I just our time is up on the recording part, but I'd like to invite everybody that is here live to hang on because we'll unmic and take your video cameras off if you so choose, and then we can have some more conversation with Altera. Also, everybody that is in this particular class, you should be getting a coupon for 10% off. I think it's 10. I'm not sure. It might be 20. I don't remember. If it's your first time in the school, you will get 20 off. So you are more than welcome to use that particular coupon for either Altera's class or any of the other classes that we have in our school. So on that note, I'm going to stop recording and then just tell everybody to hang on and say thank you, Altera, officially on the recorded part.